It's moving. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's moving. It's alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. Oh, in the name of God. Now I know what it feels like to be God.
Good day, this is Rick Kessler from Eye of the Storm Ministry. Today is February 7th, 2019, and I have a shocking and disturbing message to get out there today. I can't say I'll treat this subject gently, because there's nothing gentle about it. Just when I think I've seen the darkest side of humanity, the darkness thickens. This is a picture right here of Margaret Sanger. She started the women's movement back in the early days of the 20th century. Her public movement told women they need to be free to choose what happens to their own bodies. That legal abortion performed by a doctor did away. But Miss Sanger always had a secret motive. And there, in her own words, you can see part of her hidden agenda. She wants choice, but not only choice over women's preborn babies, she wants to eliminate certain races and ethnic backgrounds. For instance, the black race, Hispanic, Jewish, the mentally ill, those that are born blind or deformed in any way, and so forth. In short, she wants genocide. This is a Nazi worldview. It really is. And I'll try to illustrate this as we move along. So here in this next slide, she states, the most merciful thing a large family does to one of its infant members is to kill it. Isn't that special? In this sadistic quote, she's injecting social prejudice against large families. And for the most part, she was successful. Try walking down Madison Avenue with 6 children in tow. The elite of New York frown on perhaps any more than 2 children. This does not include single mothers that keep popping out babies by different fathers for the extra welfare money they can receive for it. This type of mentality is nearly as bad as Sanger's thoughts. Now, a side note about the politically correct crowd. Has not Miss Sanger offended women? She said the word kill, to kill the infant. These days, the PC crowd, in my opinion, are delusional. And the questionable men, or so-called men, that agree with them are spineless and frightened little boys who've lost their manly independence, their dignity, and their right to stand next to any veteran or noble-minded person and spew out that nonsense. The PC liberals want society to now address their new special pronouns when they speak to any and all members of the LGBT community. That means they want us to do that, not just them. In reality, it's not a stretch to imagine how few men, real men, will abide by their demands. Not many. This PC idea has broken up many families. Conservative opponents of political correctness are being shouted down when they're invited to liberal colleges to speak about conservative values and issues. These mobs of liberal students start fires on their own campuses. They protest. They verbally attack conservative guests and shout them down in their own auditoriums. These liberal students have their First Amendment intact. They do. While all the conservatives are shouted down and banned from being heard if they have an opposing view. Moving on to this next example of Sanger's most devoted group of sociopaths, psychopaths. The article states, Sanger delivers burning speech to the local KKK gals, hanging on to every word. It's a wild photo, don't you think? This woman is alleged to be the voice of women's movement decades back. I suspect at this obvious innocent gathering, Sanger uses the idea of abortion as a means to eradicate every person that doesn't measure up to the racial and religious ideals of the KKK. Ku Klux Klan. Amazing. Her face still looks innocent, don't you think? Despite the presumable evil ideas swirling around in her head. If one wants to keep religious morals out of this mud pie, let's talk about justice in a secular sense. If a woman wants complete rights over her own body, that's one. But that's not what they really want. If we view the situation fairly, the man's chromosomes are united to the women's in order for a physical child to develop. Seeing this in a judicial, secular manner, the physical child is no longer her body alone. It's an entirely new person. If it were a clone of the mother, then she would have the total authority to kill her mini-me if she so desired. Almost all women win child custody when a divorce occurs. I wonder why. The mother could be a drug addict, an uncaring person that never pleases anybody but herself. There are any number of reasons the women could be potentially disqualified for total custody, or partial for that matter. Even if the father can provide a better life. After all, in reality, he has as much right to total or partial custody as the mother. This biological fact is not seen by our judicial system at all today. fathers are excluded from any say in anything regarding welfare and life or death of the infant in question. Most notably, if he chooses to take custody of the child, if the mother wants to kill it. Now, let's take a look at the quotes of some of the most famous feminists. Apparently, Hillary is in awe of Miss Sanger. Personally, I'd like to ask, why? Why are you in awe of Margaret Sanger? Yes. Is it her worldview, which in my opinion is appalling? Is it her extreme prejudice against any other race, religion, disabled population, ideology, or the belief that human life is anything but sacred? Let's face it, look at Hillary. You just want to know folks that take the White House now, don't you? Just Hillary's record as Secretary of State, this should shake the common sense of all people, male or female. She's been proven to be, by intense investigation, the most corrupt, deviant, evil individual ever to have been given such an honored position in government. And in her personal life, in my opinion, the most greedy, sadistic, brutal, vicious woman to have ever traveled the earth in the 20th century. After an extensive and exhausting multi-year investigation, the U.S. Congressional Judicial Committee have overwhelming evidence to indict and convict Ms. Clinton of treason in the highest order. She'll be sent to Gitmo at the proper time if she isn't there already, and ultimately be put to death, most likely by hanging or firing squad. When it comes down to bare facts, both women have strong underlying reasons to be champions of the women's rights and to set into law total authority regarding their bodies. Seems virtuous on the surface, but this is entirely evil underneath it all, for both women, for probably different reasons. So then, back to the intentions of Miss Sanger. In her own words, she says, Slavs, which are the Polish people, Latin, Hebrew immigrants, are human weeds, a dead weight of human waste. Blacks, soldiers, our veterans of World War I and onward, those buried in Arlington Cemetery, valiantly gave their lives to preserve Ms. Sanger's First Amendment freedom of speech. To spew out such hatred, deception, prejudice, and Nazistic, communistic propaganda. And Jews are a menace to the race, she says. Does she mean the white race? Maybe. Maybe she's also the mother of the so-called current white privilege. If there was white privilege when I was growing up, I missed that boat. But that's another story for another time. So the way I see it, this evil woman is the seed that germinated into the mess we're in today. An evil seed cannot produce a good one. Margaret Sanger's tree produced the most noxious fruit ever to become Secretary of State of the greatest country on the planet. Who, by the way, is to date obsessed with becoming the first woman president. Let's first read what the original seed has planted in the world. She says, birth control is not contraception indiscriminately and thoughtlessly practiced. It means the release and cultivation of the better racial elements in our society and the gradual suppression, elimination, and eventual expiration of defective stock. How sweet an expression is that? It says, those human weeds which threaten the blooming of the finest flowers of American civilization. How nice. Hillary, please tell me again, what exactly are you in awe of? Can it be Sanger's worldview? Could it be her desperation to become famous? Yes, yeah. That must be it. Because you and your husband have been in the public eye now for many decades. Now these two seeds have grown to be like poisoned potatoes. They stay hidden in the soil in total darkness until they come to fruition. Then the dubious farmer digs them out, and the first thing the rotten potatoes do is to put on their sunglasses. The light's too painful, too intense. It feels too much like love. So they rush to become so evil that their darkness is as light to them, as spoken in the Bible. Now, on to the next slide. Okay, in 1925, the founder of Planned Parenthood stated that Negroes were genetically inferior. A journalist wrote, Sanger charmed the black community's most distinguished leaders into accepting our plan, which was designed to their own detriment. Sanger said, such a plan, which is the Negro Project, would reduce the birth rate among the diseased, the sickly, the poverty-stricken, and antisocial classes, elements unable to provide for themselves, and the burden of which we are all forced to carry. This is your mother, social justice warriors. This is the communist mother of all proponents of abortion. And now we add infanticide to the list. Want to kill the baby when it comes out. Sanger is a thoroughly degenerate example of human waste. And the abortion proponents have become as sick and twisted as their pro-choice mother. Getting down to the latest news on the newly passed amended Reproductive Health Act, Governor Andrew Cuomo and the New York State Assembly cheer voraciously after the passage of the new rules regarding abortion. This man is a piece of work. He just signed into law a bill declaring the right to murder a fully viable baby at any time during the mother's pregnancy. In short, infanticide. Even after the baby leaves the womb. That's what that means. Not only that, anyone can perform the abortion. Nurses' aides, a candy striper helper, anyone. I have to say this now. This cannot stand. How can anyone call this bill civilized? How caring women and men devoted to the sanctity of life must stand and fight this appalling legislation. We must do it. These two in the photo are genuine sellouts due to the political ambitions, their own political ambition, no one else. The ends justify the means, right? Wrong. They both want to be president. And like Barack Obama, they'll do anything to win a vote. Buy it, murder for it, blackmail for it. Anything goes with these two. They are human insects that run under the fridge when the lights exposes them. As for Hillary, she really is done. So, turning the corner now, as far as this new healthcare bill is concerned, the living baby abiding in what used to be the safest place for a newborn to develop, which is the womb, is subject to the whims of a mother's choice as to the fate of this new creation, all the way up to the time of birth, and in many cases after. Some will never know. Most will never know. Now we'll see how this soulless industry, the abortion industry, and its sadistic doctors execute the innocent. Here's an illustration. First, they take a poisonous saline solution and inject it into the mother's embryonic fluid, after which the mother goes home for the next 3 days until the poison has taken full effect. Then the mother returns to the abortion doctor to have the lifeless baby removed. However, if the abortion clinic wants to sell the organs, this is where Frankenstein comes in, wants to sell the organs of the infant body, which in most cases they do, they have many other ways to kill without the use of poison. I'm now wondering if this presentation is becoming too uncomfortable for y'all. They say out west here. If it isn't uncomfortable, it should be. This type of thing has been very popular in ancient times as well. Listen to this passage from Psalms 106, 33 to 45. Because they have provoked his spirit so that he spake unadvisedly with his lips, they did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded, but were mingled among the heathen, and learned their works, and they served their idols, which were a snare unto them. Yea, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils, and shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and their daughters, in their sacrifice unto idols of Canaan. And the land was polluted with blood. Thus were they defiled with their own works. That's how it is today. And went to whoring with their own inventions. That's how it is today. Therefore was the wrath of the Lord kindled against his people, Israel, insomuch that he abhorred his own inheritance, and he gave them into the hand of the heathen, of the pagans. And they that hated them ruled over them. Their enemies also oppressed them, and they were brought into subjection under their hand. So then, history truly does repeat itself. But in a sophisticated society such as ours, we do our dark deeds in secret for fear of public reprisals in a host of various ways. So in conclusion, let me illustrate the sacrificing method used by the maniacs of yesteryear. This is the image of the god Baal. That's how I pronounce it. Some say Baal, Baal. I say Baal. Jeremiah 19:3-5 says, Behold, I am bringing such disaster upon this place that the ears of everyone who hears of it will tingle. Because the people have forsaken me and have profaned this place by making offerings in it to other gods, whom neither they nor their fathers nor the kings of Judah have known. And because they have filled this place with blood, the blood of the innocents, and have built the high places of Baal to burn their sons in the fire as burnt offerings, to Baal, which I did not command or decree, nor did it come into my mind. Baal was a pagan god worshipped by the Israelites. The ritual sacrifice of children would begin, this is back then, with a huge bronze hollow statue as seen in this slide of the god. This is of the god. He's got his hands stretched out. And the day before the sacrifice, they would light a blazing fire inside the bottom of the statue until the next day, when it became so hot it glowed red with intensity. Then the parents of the infant, some of them Hebrews, would place the child on the searing hands of the statue, while the newborn would twitch and scream until dead and cooked. All the while, the parents looking on. Now this is a reproduction of the ancient Arch of Baal, or Baal, shipped to Washington, D.C. For what curious reason, I don't know. Here's another one shipped to London. And last but not least, this one was shipped to New York City a few years before the governor's bill on abortion rights went off the charts. I think the symbolism and substance of these acts are harbingers of horror for the world. So until next time, I pray those that need to hear this message hear it in God's own way.